Venom wasn't in this draft.
Two strategists. Vice come out on top here. As such, the fight has to move on to the point. Spyglass trying to rush on forward in order to try and take the contest, but another Blaster Barrage takes down Spyglass on the mirror. Freelose is taken out, and this is a slow but steady point control for Vice.
That was a really good hold. With NJC, they were on Mantis to begin with, right? Pox has just switched over to the Invisible Woman after one fight. It was because they were running 2-2-2, so they had the two strategists, and it just that combo that came in for Canute and dives in with the shift. It's just too much damage for NJC to stay alive with.
Fight indeed, but hey, they are starting to hold at least a little bit. They're able to flip it around. Vice sent off the point, forced to regroup with their ultimates that they've held on. Are they able to recontest here? They have the shenanigans at the ready to try and fight in this choke point, but they've got to be careful. Fighting into a choke point versus a Phoenix is always risky. 3 down already. Wow.
And I'm more concerned about the fact of, yeah, sure, the elimination feed is full of a lot of blue for NJC, but it's after using one ultimate, which was an invisible boundary. They still have so much else to work with. And so far, the team fights that NJC have won has just been off the back of using one Kraken's Impact and one invisible boundary.
Trying to fight them far forward, keep them away.
It's alive, and now NJC are 86% onto the point, and they're still resetting some characters and players from Vice.
Portal has to be used. Vice are in trouble. They've got to, like, pull the trigger now. 94, 95. Portal comes in. Canute respawns. He does have Galactic Legend because it's all about this now. Overtime ticking down. Here comes the Galactic Legend. Canute trying to rush the backline. Gets Protoss. Gets Pox. But is taking huge amounts of damage. Will go down in exchange. They're going to try and take this for Freelose. Will fall. And NJC are going to be wiped off the point. But they did get Canute, meaning that they will be able to try and make their way back in. If they Portal, they might beat him back, but it looks like they're going to save it. Baby Bat is being forced to ult just to buy time, just to delay, because there's no portal. They have to delay this as long as they can, but in the meantime, Spyglass is finding every isolated member. Gluten is just flipping as best they can for the bonus health to buy every extra second. Alligator is making their way back with the speed boost. Lugia is keeping this ticking on the overtime. 99 to 99. Whoever wins this fight will be able to take it. Freelose is portaling back in, which will give NJC the advantage, but they've lost Teemo, meaning that this is Vice's opportunity to try and take this. It's Jeff. If they get in the backline, it could be huge, but no, they've already taken down the Winter Soldier.
Like it was anything to do with the characters that they were playing. But I think how this first fight is going to go is going to be key. Vice took the first point very easily just off of Canute going in and doing enough damage to the 2-2-2 lineup of NJC. Don't want to let that happen here, especially with how open this point starts off as.
Pressuring onto the point, Phoenix trying to get onto Canute, who rushes in so quickly. Blaster Barrage onto the point, Pox dropped low, but Protoss keeping them topped up. Lugia forced to retreat, gets a Jeff bubble to keep that momentum going, to keep that speed onto the point. But again, first point going to be taken nice and quickly by Vice. The question is, will this time they be able to hold it?
You've got some ultimates actually being picked up from NJC. The duelists actually
a 5v6 as Canute just got blasted in the beginning of that fight so quickly, but Vice still held.
He got blasted. I think NJC had like the better ult economy. Like, granted, they're not going to know too much in the server because they don't know really what Vice is at for their ultimates. But here it's a good pick, at least to start the fight for NJC. The Freedom Charge is going to allow them a chance to actually contest the point, and it's been taken mostly for free as Vice are actually fighting off the point. Now have to sort of reroute themselves to contesting this because NJC almost just took it flat out.
It's Jeff onto the back line. Phoenix immediately reaches.
Yeah, Paul reaching just in time. Invisible Boundary is going to provide a bit more of a safe exit. And there's a lot of damage and healing per second added in from Baby Bat, but it's not actually enough to keep themselves alive whilst this fight is ongoing. Lugia coming in with a Feast of the Abyss, mostly to keep himself alive for just a few more seconds longer, a couple more frames to allow that Silent Seduction to come in. And whilst it is seemingly connected onto a few plays from NJC, it is going to be the Freedom Charge that allows them to survive, and the picks will just go in the direction of the team in blue.
The Blaster Barrage being forced to retreat here. Freelose with what is essentially the strategist ultimate in their own right with that Freedom Charge. Select mid-air, Taract forced down to the low.
that's available for turning numbers back. So losing out on free lose means that some of that tempo, I suppose, that NJC were trying to set has to slow down and diminish ever so slightly. And it's provided a bit of space for Knuten to be a little bit annoying in the back line. Maybe provide a chance for Lugia to go in for the dive. Most importantly, I guess, to make sure that Oleg doesn't go down either.
Oleg's able to get out of there, barely surviving that initial engage, as Lugia's going to swing away, a little bit of a re-engage, but that first corner starts to get a lot of pressure onto it. Free Lose getting targeted.
On the map, he was just completely separated from the rest of his team for a second. They all got out and he stayed.
Incredibly good evasion, though, was able to wrap around those group walls, get back to their team, stay upright. Lugia force physics pulls them back in. They choose to take the opportunity and engage healing output, keeping them safe, at least for the moment. Teemu, so far the only wonderful Teemo, as Knuten is keeping the damage output onto everyone here with that damage boost from Baby Bat. Lugia once again frozen. This Luna Proton's been doing some massive work on trying to punish Lugia.
I mean, there's so much that goes on to focusing him down with Spyglass just having hooks, the force physics in the hand of Invisible Woman. But yet him and Knuten, that zero tenacity duo, seems to be still finding quite a lot. Hasn't gone anywhere in about 3 minutes for NJC. Payload's actually sort of moving back
down. Knuten goes down. There's no strategist ultimates available. Ken is just around the corner with the Fader both ones of their own, but Vice just aren't having the sustain right now. They're being taken down, and they also don't have Portal. It was denied by NJC, so this fight is about as good as it's going to get. The Fader both ones going to be coming on in. Feast from the Abyss to hold the line. Lugia eats the Endsong Inferno, but does not care. Ken goes down, so now it's only Lugia to hold the line, to delay and let people rush back in. Baby Bat is going to re-arrive with the Soul Resurgence to give every extra second they can, but Ken falls. Free Lose with the Freedom Charge to give every backliner any extra seconds they can.
Whilst he sort of pulled ahead to get into the back line of Vice, so you need a little bit more sustain to keep yourself going. Even in Eternal Bond, it just feels like there's not enough healing per second to survive through what Spyglass is throwing down with this ultimate. But now the fate of both worlds is available for Ken. You got Lugia jumping in too with the Feast of the Abyss. And with just under a minute left, MGC still have a lot of time. Even if they lose this fight, they have the chance to reset. But Vice having to use a lot to just make sure that this doesn't go to third.
Freelu's is going to be chased down if they want to try and pick them off so they can stagger, but he's too fast. Captain America will retreat to their team. That's also going to build Strategist Ultimate. They put it on Pox. You can see they don't let Protons get any healing onto him.
He's playing up against an Iron Man in this current meta. Just in the right hands, the wrong character could be the difference made, and the Freedom Charge for Free Lose has been the way that they've kept things going. Soul Resurgence is going to be used as a response in more of an attempt for Baby Bat to just get their team into the fight. They get CC, they're able to survive because they do have the other two strategists keeping them going, but whilst that fight was going on, they lose their one duelist. Lugia is able to trade onto at least one of the backlines and does force out the fate of both worlds, so not bad from the defenders.
I'm going to try and chase them down with the damage boost to try and make sure they can get some staggers, but they will not find anyone at least yet. Finally getting Lugia on the retreat for the reinforcement to try and take this on the defense. Baby Bat is just landing as much damage as they can, keeping the focus onto the Captain America, but down goes Free Lose and down goes Baby Bat. Portal to come back in, but they don't reach.
Just at the end, Vice hold on, which I guess after last week, they're going to be like, okay, doesn't matter how much time that we need to hold, like we can do it in the end anyway. It means that they have, which it was able to do, allowed, I think, Oligator to get the first pick in this fight. So a lot has been used up from NJC already. That granted, Free Lose is doing well to keep the numbers pretty even. It is forcing a little bit more time and resources out of Vice, but it is delaying the inevitable. You can already see the outlines of these defenders of NJC pretty close, looking to try and take a fight up on this high ground, which is why the Storm and the Groot is trying to get there just a little bit beforehand.
They're actually saving the Strange. They realized they were able to hold that for quite a while. There's a chance that if someone else goes down before the rest of the team, then they can swap to Strange later. Here comes the God of Mischief, but Omega Hurricane into the backline, trying to force out these defensive abilities, and that's good enough. Oligator choosing not to hold it for the damage. They'd much rather just make sure they stay alive. They know they've burned a big cooldown. Completely locked down. The Meteor M to try and catch Knuten, who sails away.
Manages to just skip on through. Seeing if he can get a couple more anks in onto the ground, but there's an Omega Hurricane available for Oleg now, and it's going to be used pretty much instantly. In fact, a lot of the ultimates that Vice have been getting on this map, you grab them, you use them as soon as possible. You got a Hand of Khonshu, but you've got an NJC probably spreading out to make sure that people aren't going to be hit by this AoE. There's the invisible boundary, and the Hand of Khonshu, he's holding onto it. It's still a little bit of movement, but a minute left, Tetcher.
They're running out of time. Missouri drops a ledge, and they got away with that. Baby Bat was taken out a little bit early, but Vice actually sustained that.
I felt a little bit like Vice expected it, right? Like Knudsen goes down to like, okay, we need to back off. They might try and go in the offensive here to really win this engagement. And really nothing was really needed actually to keep Vice alive ultimate-wise. Now they're going on the counterattack again. You've got one pickup at least over an Invisible Woman. You can see Alligator's trying to get out, at least to try to protect himself from what's happening. And NJC have ultimates, but they're still losing out players just beforehand. And it's just the chaos. Now things are looking better for this defensive side. The French team fighting out a little bit more for Vice. It's just less than 2 minutes is on the clock. For Vice, yeah, don't have too much to work with, but they're looking at the final judgment, no doubt.
They're charging up to it with Prison into the end song Inferno. It's Jeff to keep the team held onto the point and to try and snipe anyone on the backline. Grabs no one, but keeps the healing output going. Cracking impact from Spyglass to turn this fight on its head has taken out Knudsen, the main and only damage for Vice.
It's all to play for now. NJC have forced it to overtime, and there's still a good amount of ground to make. You've got the Strangler Prison pulling all of the defenders of NJC together, but then also the hook coming in. Spyglass has maybe turned this fight around with the fate of both worlds. Nobody from NJC is going down, and there's one of the two strategists that is eliminated for Vice. It's going to be Baby Bat out of the server just before they get their Soul Resurgence. It really is a question of if Knudsen could be that golden child again. A final judgment would go hard here, but you also need to be touching the point. It's a last-ditch attempt, and it's not enough. NJC are bringing us to a third map.
The power of backline, and once again, Mantis
keeping him in place and keeping him CC'd is not going to be an option, but there's just no CC available for Vice outside of the sedation, and that might be one of the reasons why they keep going down so easily. It's free reign for the Vanguards to just harass.
Trying to hold this once again, another isolation team who just targeting the back line. The front line of Vice tries to move forward when suddenly Baby Bat, Noligaton and Ken are in danger, and they have to retreat again. Another pickup onto Lugia, who's picked off as they try to create some space inside the area, and Vice, they've got all their ultimates. At this point, burn the ultimates, and then something may have to change if it doesn't work.
You don't have too much time, and the pressure's going to start building. A full hold here would almost cement NJC this series. Just at the end, the nick of time, Vice have been able to potentially take this final point. NJC, are they looking to try and contest this? They are. They have got the touch.
They're delaying as best as they can. Ken with the fate of both worlds. Lugia with the damage boost takes out Pox, but Spyglass with the Meteor Aim is going to try and find the backline, takes out Baby Bat, removing a lot of the damage boost, but they get taken down as well, and Knudsen is untouched in the air. The superior Iron Man melts on through, and Missouri sends them packing. That is going to be the first point picked up by Vice.
Able to get multi-picks, stringing them together, much like he's doing now, means that the momentum is starting to build for the attacking side that couldn't get things moving at all.
Fully charged Ember on conversions is pretty good. That's the second double KO for Missouri in just about a minute and a half as they start to move up to try and zone, to try and hold them in the choke point of these entranceways. Sonic Seduction for Missouri. They're actually pushing into the door, but Timo is snuck past. Media M finds Baby Bat behind the tail.
Baby Bat almost just being a bit... How much focus it's taken to make sure that he's not played, but it's just the stall is allowing more time for NJC to keep things fighting, to keep things going. These overtime fights, these scraps from Vice is just too much to keep themselves topped up for, and NJC is still just throwing themselves at this.
Baby Bat just got frozen midway through an Eye of Agamotto, so they're taken down as well. They are going to go down. Meteor M, but Missouri grabbed the double with the help of Knudsen, and so Inferno to try and hold this, but with attrition, it's starting to look like Vice with a slither on the point may be able to do this. They get point 2.
And 90 seconds now to push it towards the end, and that could be 3 to 5 business days if these overtimes keep pushing on and fighting. Vice, I don't know how they do it. It just feels that they are completely out of steam and out of energy in the air. It's everything in these kind of fights, and Vice is starting it off with the picks and 2 big ultimates. You have got that Galactic Legend in favor of Knudsen again, but Freelose is still alive. Even just, no, it's not enough. He can't stay alive. The overtime push for Vice is happening. One more fight maybe for NJC.
That's a quadruple, though. Knudsen takes them down again. And this is it, like you say. 1, maybe 2 more fights for NJC if they start to get taken out. No ultimates available, but they're close. Meteor M at 92%. Spyglass with that Kraken impact at 78. On the other side, 0 defensive tools remain. Vice are on their own, having to just run this in with what they have and hope that a Feast from the Abyss can get a pickup. Or Knudsen on the flank takes out Coco.
Granted, he does go down, and Vice very carefully hold on this defense.
Spyglass or Freelose are 100%. I think I'm with you with it being Freelose. They have been the reason that the backline has been so pressured, and why Oligator has been having a pretty miserable game so far, because he's just being targeted. Freelose, he's just punching the shark over and over again. But in the meantime, Vice, with that Cloak and Dagger now, seem to have a little bit of extra sustain, and it's working for them. Here comes the Jeff, but it's not enough to keep Baby Bat sustained up.
Seeing if they can grab somebody through this, and it's actually going to be the Kraken's impact leaping out of the way to not get caught by the It's Jeff, but in case anybody does get grabbed, making sure that he goes down quickly. This is a good hold. It is a trade. Oleg is actually not afraid to go down alongside the ship, which is Coco, with the grab, and this defense is good. Vice have done so well just to hold on for half the time, but NJC did hold on for the full 4 minutes. It was only OT that we actually started to see the payload moving.
Yeah, we're getting a full mirror here with all that time being drained away. Oligator by the
backline of Baby Bat. That's scary though for Vice. It's a long way to run back from the defensive spawn, and the Eternal Bond is going to allow some more space for Vice to work with, whilst the portal play from Knudsen, actually he's having to switch over to make sure the Baby Bat can get back into the fight as quickly as possible.
Oligator tries to go for a swallow, but it's just getting targeted down a bit too much. Will go down in this fight, meaning it's currently a 5v4. Bakamoto going to come out, catches 3 members of Vice, and NJC about to hit overtime, but they're starting to get control. Timu, Pox, and Coco are hanging on by the skin of their teeth right now, as Lugia gives everything to this point, but they're just getting whittled down bit by bit. Point number 1 goes over to NJC.
Pretty much a neutral way of how this has been going. Vice buying it up to overtime, using all 4 minutes up, and now they have 2.5 to hold here. Any extra time that NGC are going to get, they're definitely going to use if they can get to 3rd. So this has to be a good fight that Vice take. Otherwise, they're overextending. There's big ultimates for NJC that they have more space against them. The payload, in fact, isn't even moving. Vice have done well to steady the ship here. 30 seconds left near enough, and there's still a good couple of fights that you might be able to grab.
Lugia on the flag, taking a little bit of damage, but is willing to sacrifice HP for that extra protection. But here comes the Freedom Charge. Feast from the Abyss finds no one, but Pox is finished off by Ken. Knudsen gets Coco, and Baby Bat falls to the backline. It's just Vanguards harassing strategists while the duelists do whatever they want. Ken falls again. Here comes the Kraken impact, though, and Spyglass onto the point. If they get Venom, then this might be enough resets to hold and push on for the rest of the distance. But NJC just can't land the finishing blows.
Oh no, Knudsen's sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. But that dive that came in from him and Lugia not only is able to just keep harassing NJC's backline, but it stalled the payload for another fight as we've hit OT. Lugia sort of doing the same, swinging it in and out, allowing the portal play, and then off the back of it, you've got that silent seduction. Oligator's managed to catch onto Pox.
He's bringing out the Strange to try and hold up. Oligator BO has no HP, though. It's going to be a complete team wipe, essentially. No, their team topped up as best as they can with 10 seconds remaining. Protoss and Pox fall. The strategists are out. Kogo's going to portal back in with the Freedom Charge, giving them the bonus health to hold onto the point with every ounce of effort. NJC, they need to hold this as overtime ticks down. Portal, Protoss with them, Loki, to give the extra sustain, but the Lantern is absolutely deleted here. Psionic Seduction to try and punish people as they come through the portal to shut down any ultimates that are off cooldown, but there's nothing left. Spyglass barely up, comes back in the BRB. Coco falls, but Vice, no one is going down. It's health bars ticking away. Lugia given the symbiotic resilience to hold every extra second that they can. Pox is holding, but there's no one left. It's GG.
Vice yet again holding on for that last inch, that last fight. And the big ultimates. We keep saying that like Knudsen had his moments, but Missouri was one of the main things that turned it into their favor. What a series, a way for it to end. And Vice continue on in their typical style, but they make it to playoffs. Series, it's a rough around the edges for both teams. They're relatively new, cores of different squads being put together. But both teams played with so much heart, you can't help but root for both of them, really. It's just, yet again, feels like it's the Carbon thing that I keep saying. It's a shame that we've had to send one of these teams home.
But it's gotta be said, you're so correct with that point, because both these teams could go further. We've just seen incredible performances under team to have locked in on for this series. Vice, lots of familiar players.